Hello everyone, this is Colin once again. So I know I just made a recent video yesterday. So if you haven't seen that video entitled Aussie CDA Updates, 2 months is a long time without a video, then please check that out because I talk about sort of where I'm at right now, what my potential future plans are for videos and things like that. This video though, I was going to make a video answering the question of an individual, a user who asked me about the fact that Imam Ghazali made takfir on some of the philosophers like Ibn Sina and Farabi. The person acknowledged that I had been reading Ibn Rushd or Averroes and wanted to know, what my opinions were on some of the points made by Ghazali and how did Ibn Rushd deal with those 3 points. And so in my next video, I'm going to address those questions. I was actually going to make that video, and then I saw this comment by a user who who basically reiterated some of the things I said in my just my most recent video, saying that I neither want to debate nor to convince. If people come desiring such because of other Muslims in the world, I want to vlog various topics I've studied, etc. So, and I said in the comment section to this individual that it's not that I don't want to. Yeah, I mean, basically what I was trying to say in that video was my past videos were essentially me sitting here and saying that like my views are quote unquote right and everybody else is wrong. I had a very narrow track with a lot of my past videos, and I actually acknowledged that back when I still considered myself a quote unquote Orthodox Sunni Muslim. Where I acknowledged the fact that, wait a minute, at that time I considered myself a Shafi, Ash'ari, Sunni Muslim. And I realized that, if I answer questions claiming to, basically that it was wrong for me to be representing, quote, all of Islam. That I thought that wasn't honest to do that. My personal opinions, and who am I, right? I mean, my personal opinions, and then also where does my knowledge come from, because I always made sure to reference my sources and things like that, that my opinions may not hold water for a lot of people. So I realized that, my personal opinions are my personal opinions. I can share the opinions of others. I can say that I agree with certain scholars or certain authors and writers, etc., to formulate my own opinions about certain subjects. But at the end of the day, those are my opinions. I can only share those opinions, and I think that I basically burnt myself out trying to argue with people who just wanted to argue, or essentially had just as much of a narrow mind as I did when I was making those old videos. It really doesn't get anywhere. It doesn't change anybody's mind. You can inform people of various opinions and then sit them down and say, okay, now that you've been armed with this information, it's up to you to, as a consumer of information, to decide what makes sense to you. And that's all you can really do. I mean, to be completely honest. Arguing and yelling at each other and saying that I'm right, you're wrong, and you suck, and all the other stuff that we see here on YouTube, but the internet in general, just really doesn't broaden our scope of trying to gain knowledge and to understand everyone around us in our local communities, in our state, our countries, what have you. So I know that was really broad, but I mean that's essentially where I'm coming from. I would love to discuss topics, even if someone totally doesn't agree with me. If someone just wants to say, "Hey, listen, I think you're really wrong about this, but can we talk about?" I just want to have more intellectual dialogue, and maybe YouTube's the wrong place for that. I don't know. Wayman29 and I have discussed this on several occasions. That the majority of videos on YouTube aren't really meant for you know intellectual pursuits. They're mainly for either degrading, humoring, entertaining, or just arguing, and I have no interest really in those. So anyway, to get to your question, the user who asked me, you said, I'm curious, what do Muslim sources say about the unity of Islamic persons? How does the integrity of all Muslims relate to the integrity of all mankind? If people see poor examples of Muslims and inquire of lesser or non-offending parties, is their duty to inform the misinformed whenceforth truth? And I think that these are great questions, questions that we could theorize and consider for a while, and this is why I wanted to make this video. As far as are there Muslim sources that say about the unity of Islamic persons? I mean, yes, there are several hadiths that describe all Muslims as being as if one body, that there are concepts such as that all Muslims in a community will not agree on error, and that there are indications of a sort of group consensus, if you will, or at least some sort of group process going on between Muslims. Um, However, uh, to go to the meat of your question, which is how does the integrity of all Muslims relate to the integrity of all mankind? Well, I think Muslims are people, and I really think that as humans, regardless of what religion you follow or where you come from, we are all humans and we all have our own subjective experiences. And I think that really, when Muslims do something positive or do something negative, it speaks to the capability of our species to do positive and negative things, if we're talking in that context. Um, but that is a really profound question, and I really thank you for asking me that. I mean, I really feel like I can't even do your question justice, with an answer. But your next part is, if people see poor examples of Muslims and inquire of lesser or non-offending parties, is there due to inform the misinformed? So, what I get from your question is, if people turn on the news and they see a group of Muslims in country A doing something that they perceive as unsavory, or wrong, or evil, or whatever word you want to throw in there, is it not natural to come to somebody who is a member of that religion and say, what's the deal with these people over here? And is it not the duty of that person to then inform the questioner about the nature of those behaviors and whether that person maybe agrees or disagrees or what have you? And I think that those conversations should occur. And I think that they do occur quite organically. Um, in my experience of being on YouTube since late 2006, I think that, and up to now, I think what I've seen, not just with my own experiences, but seeing society at large, that, you know, you will have individuals that will say, that have a very optimistic view of whole organized groups, organized religions or organizations or political groups or what have you. The optimistic viewpoint is that people in these groups, by and large, the vast majority, are people that just want to live their lives, get through life in a positive, healthy, happy way, and that when extremists do these messed up things in the name of religion or of that group, they don't represent the vast majority. Then I've noticed that there's a pessimistic view that simply states that it is actually at the core of the said religion or group that drives these people to do what they do, and that actually the people who don't do the extremist actions and behaviors are either willfully ignoring or ignorant of the true nature of their group. So I think it's futile, since we do not know everyone. We do not know all Muslims. I think it's safe to assume is that when studying whole groups, we know that they're made up of individuals that have their own unique perspectives, opinions, and behaviors. And one of the many parts of their personality, or what motivates them, is being a member of a group, whether it's religion or a country club or a political party or what have you. But I think it's natural to assume, and I think this is a fair assumption, is that of course not everybody thinks alike in any given group. So this is what I'm saying when I reference Michael Muhammad Knight in the past video, that he does a great job of showing this point in his fiction and in his nonfiction writing, that you're going to have people disagreeing, and you're going to have people of any group doing certain behaviors and justifying their behaviors, whether we perceive them as being positive or negative. So, for example, let's say a group of Muslims do something in country A, and you come to me and you say, Ozzy, what's the deal with these people? Or why do these people do this? All I can really tell you is, well, that group thought that what they were doing, obviously, was something that they felt justified in doing. And they may have justified it by quoting something, by citing an example. And then I, as who I am, will say, I don't actually agree with what they're doing, and I may cite you examples to prove my point. So it's not really a question of saying that a whole organized what have you can speak. It's the individuals or the groups that say, listen, we either agree or we disagree with the actions that are occurring around the world. And individuals will agree and disagree and agree to disagree to a large extent. So this is why I hope I'm answering your question. Again, it was a very profound question. I found it as such. And then your last statement is whenceforth truth. And I always just think of the passage in the New Testament, what is truth? Just thought I'd throw another, you know, philosophical theorizing statement back at you. But yeah, I mean, I think that's all I'm trying to say is that I tried for a huge part of my YouTube career, if you'll call it that, hobby, what have you, activity. I felt that I knew the truth and that I needed to prove it to other people. Um, and now I feel that I have my unique perspective and other people have their unique perspectives, and I think it's just a matter of sharing these perspectives. Because what I've learned is at the end of the day, the people who are hardcore in their views, that, you know, for example, Islam, everything in Islam is completely positive, that all Muslims at any given time, you know, essentially at the core are good people. And the other side, you have people like Robert Spencer and Ahmad's Quran and people like this who say that Islam, at its essence, is just not a positive religion, and that you know, again, Muslims who are actually acting as good, decent people are ignoring parts of their religion. These two camps, Islam is, all Muslims are just completely positive, and then the other version, all Muslims are just completely negative. Those represent a very diametrically opposed position or positions that need each other to exist. But I think, as we know, we humans are so complex that that is such simple thought process. That's such a simple train of thought to just say that it's either all good or all bad. Because of our complexity, and this makes it complex, we need to look at individuals and how they operate, and individual groups and how they operate, and see what they believe, see what they say, how do they understand their religion, and then we can compare and contrast different groups and different subgroups. It takes more effort on our part to think this way, but if we don't think this way, the ramifications are making whole sweeping generalizations, whether they're positive or negative, and then that doesn't serve us at all, because then we're cognitive misers, we're lazy thinkers at that point, and it doesn't progress us in a positive way. So those are my initial thoughts to your question. That's how I would answer your question. So I hope this helps. And if you have any more, please ask. Thank you for watching. Peace be with you all.